Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. Today is the first day of December 2021, and we have got episode 368 lined up for you. I've got my festive little snowman over here to bring in December, and I think we'll be having some more fun with the holidays coming up. But let's get into it. We got a couple quick announcements. Want to say hi to everybody, and then we will get into the questions. It looks like we got a bunch of really good questions today. So first of all, Chris, how you doing today?
Doing good. A bit late on the Christmas decorations compared to you, but I will try to catch up on that and be here with something next week.
Sounds good. Yeah, we'll have to start pulling out the hats and the tinsel and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Cool.
You still planning to pull out your Christmas sweater this year?
Yeah, maybe we should do that. We should take a vote. We should have people like post pictures or take a vote or something, do ugly sweaters or do the hats or both or something. I don't know. Bradley, what do you think?
I don't do ugly sweaters, but I do have some goofy hats. So,
all right. Well, then goofy hat maybe is what it is. But we'll see if anyone wants to join in. Maybe we can do that. The one closest, the Hump Day Hangouts closest to Christmas, we can get everyone to post a picture of themselves with their hat. So I think that'd be fun. Cool. Well, Bradley, how you doing today?
Good. Busy as hell. I was almost late. But yeah, things are good. I'm working on process training, like process docs in Flowster, which most of you, I hope, got our Black Friday to Cyber Monday deal. It was 100% free. All you had to do was go sign up for a free account in Flowster and then import the template that I put together, which took me 2.5 days to put together for you guys. But I did it for selfish reasons so that I could hand it off to a VA and I didn't have to do that process anymore. It takes 4 or 5 hours to do that, even once you're pretty, proficient with it. And I've done it 5 or 6 times myself. And I said, well, now that I've proven it works several times, I needed to get the process training done. So anyway, hopefully you guys picked that up while it was available. Now it's closed. We already had somebody whining about it in our YouTube channel. After the closing time, they were whining that they didn't get it. And it's like, Jesus, you had 3 days to get a free course. If you didn't get it, that's your own damn fault. And sorry, that's just what it is. But you can still access it if you didn't get it by joining the mastermind. So anyway, if you guys have had a chance to go through the Flowster training for the content mirroring playbook, it's a great app. And I'm developing more processes for the Google My Business process checklist, but now it's Google Business Profile process checklist. We got to rebrand it. And I'm trying to build all of my SOPs in Flowster now for that. And that's something that only mastermind members will get access to, is the SOPs, the process training for each one of the tasks in the process checklist. But yeah, so hopefully you guys had a chance to check out Flowster. Again, it was 100% free. There was somebody else that complained in YouTube about a free content mirroring playbook when you have to pay for a Flowster account. That's not free. And it was funny because I immediately replied to that comment on YouTube and was like, oh yeah, did you check their pricing page? They clearly have a free account level. So it was like, it's funny how some people will bitch will complain even when they're hung with a new rope. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't like, it was like you've got to upgrade your account to get full access to the training.
No bait and switch.
You just got to sign up, get a free account, import the workbook. Done.
That's it.
All right. Well, I mean, that serves as a good reminder, not, for everyone else, the 99.99999% of the people who didn't say anything and just took advantage of the training. We appreciate it. If you like it, if you got something good out of it, head back to the YouTube channel or post on Facebook. We appreciate hearing from you guys, how that's going and what you like the most about it. Honestly, one, just because it's cool to hear that you're getting some use out of this stuff. And then two, it helps us kind of get an idea of what you enjoyed the most or what you might need help with, things like that. So it's kind of a two-way street there. Cool. Wanted to touch on something else real quick. If you're watching us live, you can probably see up at the top of the page where you can get the GMB process checklist. But if you haven't grabbed that yet, you can just go to gmbprocess.com, or if you're watching the replay and you can't see the cool little thing up at the top of the page, head over there, get your checklist. And also wanted to touch on this. Bradley mentioned the mastermind as far as the place where you can get this training now that it's been taken off of the YouTube channel, or rather off of, I don't know what you would call it. Anyways, as it's no longer available, the mastermind is the place to grab that now. And, we talk about it from time to time, but if you're really looking to take your whether you're got an agency, you're a single consultant, you're got a couple VAs, or maybe you have brick and mortar, or you're doing lead gen. But if you want to take that up a few notches, the mastermind is the place to be. It's not only us, but it's also the community that provides the real power as well as real world experience. And if that sounds like something you would like to do before we move into 2022, then I highly encourage you to go check it out, mastermind.semanticmastery.com. You can find out all of the details there. Cool, guys. With that said, anything else or ready to get into questions?
Yeah, just that I'm really working my ass off on these SOPs, standard operating procedures, for the Google process checklist. We've got just some killer stuff going on at Semantic Mastery, guys. We're launching a content done for you content service business that is tuned, entity tuned or SEO tuned content. It's going quite well. It's just alpha testing right now, so we've got a few alpha testers in there, but in probably the next maybe 2 weeks, we're going to open it up for beta testers in the mastermind. And then after we go through probably 4 to 6 weeks of beta testing, get some more people through the process, we're going to open it up to the broader, more general public. And so that's going well. And I'm also developing a done for you link building service, like a white label link building service for local projects. And it's very affordable and incredibly effective. And I wasn't planning on doing that, but there's a real need for that in our own audience. I know that for sure because I keep getting a ton of questions about link building all the time. So I'm actually in the process of training a couple of other VAs right now to execute those processes so that we can make that available too. And it's very, very effective. So just be on the lookout, guys. If you're in the mastermind, you get access to everything before anybody else does, access to beta testing or alpha/beta testing. But so I'd encourage you to join the mastermind anyways, so that you can also get SOPs as they're developed. But if you don't, then eventually some of this, like the services, will be available to the more general public. The SOPs, though, however, you can only get those in the mastermind. So I'm gonna encourage you guys to do, check it out. If you're looking to take your business in 2022 to another level, mastermind is a good place for you. So
for sure.
How was my pitch? Was that good?
Woo! It's awesome.
Sweet.
Awesome.
All right.
Reza, sorry, not sure who this is. So can't wait for the link building service. Yeah, that's been a highly sought after service so far in like the last 3 days. So
yeah,
it's
crazy.
Looking forward to that.
And it was crazy too, just real quick. Cause it's funny because I wasn't planning on doing this. This was not even on our radar, like no shit. But I keep getting questions by mastermind members about link building stuff all the time. And I've got, over the last 6 months or so, I've really developed some repeatable strategies that they just fucking work, period. And for local stuff up to 200,000 locations up to 200,000, I've been able to get results in 3 to 5 months, like rank within 3 to 5 months using these processes, these, kind of like monthly method that I put together. For anything that's more competitive, like bigger than 200,000 population, it can still be achieved, but you need a bigger budget if you want it done in that same amount of time frame. Otherwise, it's just going to take longer, more months to get the results. I recommend like doubling the service for kind of higher population or higher competition areas. But again, this was just, it wasn't something I was planning, but it came like it was an opportunity, kind of fell in my lap. It was like, hey, like here's a bunch of people that are interested in, done for you link building services, white label services, essentially. And so over the last 3 days, man, I literally have been having a hard time sleeping because I'm like just thinking, like trying to build this stuff out and plan it all out and everything else. But I'm really excited about it too, guys. I think maybe this is something we should have done some time ago because I feel like there's a real demand for it. So be on the lookout for that, guys. I hope to have the beta launching that for beta on 2 weeks from tomorrow is my plan on opening it up for some beta testers in Mastermind. We got about 10 people lined up already. And then after probably 4 to 6 weeks, we'll have, so probably right around the beginning of or the middle of January is when we'll open it up for other people as well. So
nice. Well, that's good. Reza was asking, where do I sign up? And then he's got the gift, right? I love that. Tia Carrera. Do you accept cash?
Much more details to follow, guys.
Cool.
All right. Let me grab the screen and we'll get into it. We've got some good questions already. So, okay. Mikos, not sure, but anyway, hey guys, I'm wanting to build out some auto blogs to publish local news with RSS Masher. As part of the SEO process, I'm going to set up branded profiles and possibly a gsite wondering if it is possible to also grab a GMB and citations. Would this be a recipe for disaster or something you would recommend? Well, no, I mean, look, I think adding a Google business profile, even for businesses that aren't technically just local businesses, there's a lot of reasons to do that. Number one, it validates the entity, right? It's a huge validation signal for Google if you can register and verify a Google business profile, right? So that in and of itself is a benefit for SEO because it helps to validate the entity. It strengthens the entity, right? So that's a big part of it. Plus, you know, I can't get into a lot of that here, but you can push a ton of power with a Google business website. That is my preferred link building like target now for local projects. And I know you're not talking about local, but you can still use the Google business profile website to push a lot of power to your money site, because you can use your GBP or Google business website as a link building target that then you can push. Like essentially it's just like what we've always done with the SEO shield, right? Which is with the Google site and all of our tier 1 entity assets, but the Google business profile website in itself, because it's directly connected to the Google business profile, which is an entity validator, it has become over the last 6 months or so my favorite link building target, because you can push massive power through that Google business website and the posts, the Google business posts, right? So, you know, there's just so much that you can do with it that I feel like, even if like all I do is local, but if I was going to do affiliate stuff or national stuff or whatever, I would still find a way to make it reasonable to have a Google business profile associated with it, even if I'm not providing local services, right? So yeah, I would recommend, you know, checking it out. Because again, that could be one of the things that you do where you publish Google. For example, let me just kind of give you an example. I wouldn't go crazy with this because you're talking about an auto blog, but Adam, I don't know if you can have this handy, but an smshort.link, we've got a link for OneUp. OneUp is a great app that you can use to auto publish to Google business profiles like posts. You can auto publish posts with an RSS feed. So think about it. If you've got an auto blog somewhere, and with RSS Masher, there's a ton of stuff that you can do, right? I'm fairly sure with RSS Masher, it has a filtering option in, so you could perhaps set up like feeds that would only trigger syndication because, you know, through certain filters, like if they met certain criteria. And if not, you can use different like category or tag feeds from your WordPress site. If you're feeding an auto blog with RSS Masher, but it's going into different categories. For example, you can take the category feed from the WordPress site and you can use that to trigger auto posting to a Google business profile, right? Or you can use the regular feed. It's fine. I'm just saying you wouldn't want to go crazy. If you're doing multiple posts per day, you could potentially, it could look spammy if you were doing too much publishing volume, if that makes sense. But you could throttle it down by using category feeds or tag feeds and or filtering the feed. There's a number of things that you could do. But what I'm getting at is with the OneUp app, very inexpensive. And it's great because you can take an RSS feed and auto publish to Google business profiles anytime it detects an item in the feed, right? A new item in the feed. And what it does is it pulls in the featured image that becomes the Google post photo, right? Is the featured image of the feed item itself. And then you can have the option when you set the automation up in OneUp, you can have the option to either every time, like the call to action button in the GMB post or the Google business profile post. That's such a mouthful to say that. Anyway, in the Google business post, the CTA button, you can opt to either have it link back to the post URL, right? So like whatever the feed item URL is, which is what I would recommend, or you can set a particular URL that it always links back to. So like the homepage of the website, for example. But in the case of what you're talking about, I would recommend that every time it publishes a post, it would pull in the featured image, the CTA button would link back to the post URL itself. And then the text for the post is just the post title. That's it. It doesn't pull in any of the post body in or anything else. But if you have optimized post titles that are relevant to the business, right? They're topically relevant, and it pulls in the featured image and it auto builds links back to the posts or to whatever specific URL you designate, which means every post will link back to that whatever URL. That's why I recommend doing it where the CTA button always links back to the target URL of the post itself. Then now you've got an automated Google business posting like engine, right? That is being automated through your RSS master feeds, that it can automatically publish or syndicate to the Google business profile. And now you have GMB posts that you can just smash with links, right? Does that make sense? So instead of building a bunch of links to your money site, you're building links to your money site through Google business posts. And then you hit the Google business post URLs with links. So you power up the post URLs, but it keeps your money site clean because all your money site is getting are generic or miscellaneous anchor text links, button links back from the Google business post, right? It's either going to say learn more or book. So you don't have to worry about over optimizing anchor text. You don't have to worry about, potentially any negative effects from link building directly to your money site, because you do it through the Google business website, through Google business posts, if that makes sense. So that's what, again, it's one of my favorite strategies, guys. I absolutely love using the Google business website for this kind of stuff. And it has become my favorite, my primary target URL for everything that I do, even for organic link building and organic ranking and everything else. I use the primary asset now. And again, don't get me wrong, I still do the gsite, still do the ID page, press advantage organization page. Those are all critical tier 1 assets. But the Google business profile website tends to be like the most powerful, in my opinion, the most powerful component of all of them now. And it took me months to really figure all that out, but it's by far been, a great discovery for my ability to get stuff done. So it was a great question. Hopefully that made some sense. Victor says, what other properties would you recommend for link building aside from the gsite, ID page, and syndication rings? In the past, I sent some link packages to certain sites, but those profiles seem to fall off search results. Yeah, well, as I just mentioned, the Google business website, the gsite, ID page, syndication network properties, all the profiles, as well as you can also build links to any syndicated content to your syndication network properties. In other words, you can go to Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, for example, and extract the post URLs that, specific post URLs. So for example, let's say that you publish, say 5 supporting articles for a particular silo to your money site blog, which is going to syndicate out to your syndication network profiles. Well, instead of just always building links to the profile, the home, the profile URLs, which is essentially the home page, right? Which usually it's a blog roll. So it makes sense to do that because it's going to power up whatever blog posts are in the blog roll, right? That are present on the home page before they roll off the home page, right? So it makes sense to constantly build links to your home, the profile URLs, the home pages of those blogs. But it also makes sense very strategically that, again, like let's say you publish 5 supporting articles for a particular silo on your money site. Well, then you can go to Tumblr, WordPress, and Blogger and extract the post URLs for those 5 posts. So you get 3 Web 2 post URLs for each money site post, right? And now you can actually take, and again, if it's 5 times 3, now you've got 15 target URLs that you can hit with a very specific set of links and keyword anchors, right? Very specific set of anchor texts that are super relevant or hyper relevant to that particular silo. So that's another great set of targets. Again, I said the Google business website, the gsite, the press advantage organization page, the ID page, syndication network properties, individual posts on the syndication network, because remember, you can always grab the groups of posts. Then there's also Google business posts, as I just talked about in the previous question. Also press releases. If you have a press advantage organization page, you should probably be publishing press releases as well. So press releases themselves can become targets. I recommend that you would stick to the way that I usually only build links to the the press releases published on the press advantage domain. Does that make sense? So the original source URL. Another good target is digital journal. But those are usually the only 2 that I will build links to. And most of the time, I don't even build links to digital journal. I just build links to press advantage. So I constantly am powering that up. But anyways, those are all really, really good link targets, guys. Something else that I talk about which again, you guys can get access, click this link up here if you don't already have it, but the Google business profile process, where it's still titled the GMB process checklist. In the link building module, I talk about, building links to your tier 1 entity assets too, but besides just building links to them, guys, it's something I just posted a video about this in the mastermind today. If you take the time and treat your tier 1 entity assets and publish separate and unique posts on those profiles. So for example, go to Blogger, your branded blogger, and publish a unique entity tuned or SEO tuned content post, not something that's syndicated. I'm talking about purchasing or developing, creating your own content that has been tuned using some, whatever SEO tuning tools you're using, Page Optimizer Pro, Surfer SEO, Outranking.io, Phrase.io, onpage.ai, or, any one of those tools will work. But going out and publishing really well-developed content that are unique on each one of your branded profiles. So go to Blogger, publish a unique post that's been well-tuned. And I'm talking about something that can rank on its own, guys. It might be a 1,500 to 2,000 word blog post. It's worth it. I'm telling you, it's worth it. And again, I just posted about this in the mastermind today. I did this with a Blogger blog post for the Lynchburg Tree Service project, which is a lead gen project that I set up in part to do training on for the content mirroring method. But, in the Google Business process checklist, I talk about the tier 1 entity tune content and doing what I just mentioned. And so I did that 2 weeks ago with Blogger. I had an article developed specifically about tree pruning and tree trimming and tree pruning. And it's about, I don't know, I think about 12 or 1,300 words. And I published it on Blogger. It's not a syndicated post. And then I did exactly what I lay out in the process checklist, guys. I linked to my money site, my map CID URL. I embedded the GMB map. I embedded, and then I linked, to the Google Business website, and also an anchor text link to the CID map URL. Okay. And then I also, I did a couple of other things. And anyway, long story short, I published that about 2 weeks ago. I ordered a GSA spam gig, a straight up spam gig, to hit that, the Blogger homepage profile URL and the inner page URL for the post. And I actually published it as an inner page, which I shouldn't have done. I should have published it as a post, but I published it as a tree trimming page on the Blogger site. And so those are my 2 target URLs for a 400,000 GSA spam gig. And I hit it, and I just had the links delivered today, and only a fraction of them have been crawled. But that article, publishing that article on my branded Blogger profile, it pushed Lynchburg Tree Service into the #1 position in the Maps 3-pack for Lynchburg tree pruning service, tree pruning Lynchburg VA. And here I can actually demonstrate that. I don't mind showing that. In fact, see, I still have this open because I was showing this in the video earlier. Take a look at this, guys. Lynchburg tree pruning service, and it pushed. This is a brand new location, guys. This location was created at the beginning of October. It's the same location. Now, again, some of this could also be benefiting from the content mirroring method that you guys should have access to if you picked it up between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But this was a very specific keyword that I targeted with the Blogger post. And again, this is a brand new location. And to be #1 in maps for that is insane, right? At least in my opinion, that's insane, guys. So just an example, if I say like tree pruning, Lynchburg. Okay, so that one, but if I add service, and again, I'm not worried, like I said, the links haven't even all been crawled yet, guys, but look at that. I mean, it's insane, right? So all of that to tell you guys, like, what should you be building links to? Well, it's not just about building links to the assets that you've generated. If you take the time to develop well-tuned content, and we're going to have a service available. It's already in progress in the mastermind. Again, we've got alpha testers in it now. It's called Content Kings. We're going to have the available to you guys where you can purchase tuned content, the exact same kind of content that I use for my own business. It's my team that is doing, producing it. But if you take the time to put well-tuned content on your tier 1 assets, then they become absolute powerhouses. Those become your best link building targets as well. Like that and the Google Business website, in my opinion, are your 2 best targets because they're super relevant. You can manipulate your anchor text ratios, and then you can just power up those tier 1 posts, well-tuned posts, and you just get massive results, guys. Again, results like this don't lie. This is a brand new location, #1 in maps. Yes, that's not a super competitive keyword, but the links haven't even been crawled yet. In fact, here they are. Take a look at this. There it is. There's the blogs. This is the actual page URL. You can see only 13 links, 13 referring domains, and they're straight up spam. Look at it. It's just insane. And if I go pull this over to the subdomain, which is the homepage URL, lynchburgtree.blogspot.com. Go look at it yourself, guys. There's nothing special about what I did other than I published a well-tuned piece of content, excuse me. Look at the straight up spam. 32 referring domains for the root page, the profile URL. And then for the inner page, which I should have done a blog post, but I did it as an inner page, there's only 13 referring domains. Does that make sense? And you guys see the results here. They're indisputable, right? Right there. And that's insane. And you know what I expect is over the next 2 to 3 weeks, as many more of these links get crawled, GSA spam links that I sent to the blogger post, it's likely that blogger post will rank too. I didn't go back to see where it's ranking because I don't even know if it is. I didn't even look. I just was amazed that it helped to push for that specific keyword into the maps pack. It's just insane. And again, like I said, we'll just go view this real quick, guys. There's nothing special about this. It's not even that this is not even that long of an article. It just was tuned. I used Surfer SEO on this one. And it, as I said, it's really super powerful stuff, guys. And that's the kind of stuff that we teach in the mastermind. And I would encourage you guys, these hacks are just insane. I shared another one a few weeks ago about patch.com using the classified announcement post. I'm not going to get into that here, but that's another method that, you could just smash a patch.com classified announcement post, which indexes in Google News, by the way, and you can just hammer that with kitchen sink spam. And as long as you tune the content properly, that shit will rank in about 30 days, even for competitive areas. And I go through the exact process in the mastermind on that too. And it's insane because it's just another spot in the SERPs that you can take up with a branded, post on patch.com. So I encourage you guys to check this stuff out. It really works. Anyway, that was a long-winded answer to that question. I apologize. But anyway, we're going to keep moving. Gordon, what's up, Gordon? He says, hey, guys, I hope you all are well. I could be wrong, but it is my understanding that Google's algorithm can now determine exactly what your web page is about just from the content and rank it accordingly. So if you're building a multi-city local service lead gen site, which of the 3 page structures is more advantageous for SEO purposes? Number 1, create a separate page for each targeted keyword for each city location. That is to say 20 keywords and 10 cities would equal 200 pages. No, I don't recommend that at all. So number 1 is out. Number 2, create a separate keyword optimized page for each different service category offered by that type of business for each specific geolocation. That is to say 5 service categories and 10 cities would equal 50 pages. Or 3, create 1 geolocation page for each city, 10 city pages total, each with content that is optimized for all of the targeted services and keywords that Google will know to rank each city page for all the keywords. Thanks a lot. As usual, your help is very much appreciated. Great question, Gordon. This is exactly what I covered at the very beginning of the content mirroring method process that we gave away in Flowster from Black Friday to Cyber Monday. So hopefully you picked that up. Because if so, I would encourage you for the much more long-winded, in-depth answer to your question. But number 3 is absolutely is the strategy, the method that I use. Absolutely. And I switched all of my projects into that very specific method as of this year, earlier this year. And it is working so much better. And it's also so much easier because think about this. You're talking about 200 pages or 50 pages or 10 pages. So think about what's easier to manage, right? In my opinion, 10 pages is much easier than 50 or 200, right? And so that's, again, going back to what I was just talking about here, guys. Let's pull that open. Let me just find here, right here. This is the website. This is just a single page. Well, there's several pages on the site, but it's basically one landing page where all the different services that the tree service company offers are all optimized on one page. This is my preferred method. You build one page optimized for the location. This is a table of contents plugin. These are H2 headers that these link to. And so essentially you're building a silo on one page, right? That's the way I like to do it. It's so much easier. And then you can start building links back to your jump links, your table of contents links very strategically as well. And again, this specific method was covered in the content mirroring method process that we gave away for free for the last for Black Friday to Cyber Monday. So you should have access to this already. If you don't, and it's too late, you got to join the mastermind. But this is by far my preferred method. It has simplified my site builds incredibly. I had several sites out there that were performing well, but they were way overcomplicated. And I think that, we as SEOs typically want to overcomplicate shit because we think, we're going to outsmart the algorithms and all that. And honestly, it's so much easier to simplify your business processes. And so now I try to do everything on one landing page, optimized like for all services for that location, right? And just make sure that you have your heading, your H2s, the way that you stack your content proper. Remember, you should have one H1 heading, which is the page title, and it should have, for each service offered, it should have an H2. And then you can have H3s as supporting headings for the H2s. But that's the H2s is what I link to with the table of contents, because those are the primary, like the individual services, right? There are H3s in here. Each one of these questions is an H3. If you go view the page source on lynchburgtree.com, you'll see what I'm talking about. These are all H2s, but these are all H3s, right? So you can have, and it's great, guys, because like I said, it's very, very powerful, and you can do it all on one page. And in my opinion, that's the easiest way to go now. You can still add silos, guys. And I think there's another question coming up specifically about that. But what I like to do for adding posts to a silo is just go find a keyword that you want to target, not with local relevance, right? You don't want to optimize it for location. You want to optimize for the topic. And you can publish blog posts as supporting blog posts for a location silo by publishing blog posts, well-tuned blog posts that are optimized for the topical terms, not topic plus location terms. Does that make sense? So because here's the thing, guys, if you're trying to optimize an article for, tree trimming for a specific location, in my case, right? Then, I've already optimized the location landing page for tree trimming services for that specific location. So I wouldn't want to create competing content, right? Stuff that could be, I wouldn't want to kind of facilitate cannibalization. So instead of publishing a supporting article targeting tree trimming and pruning in Lynchburg, for this example, I would publish a separate post. They would be talking about tree trimming techniques or tree pruning methods, right? Or the best time of year for tree trimming or something like that. Does that make sense? It would be topically optimized for the topic, but not for topic plus location. And then that would become a supporting post. And I would do that with, various keywords. I would find something long tail that I would optimize. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be all that long tail, but I would tune it to compete. When I say tune it to compete, meaning I would analyze it against the top ranked competitors for a national term, not for a local term, if that makes sense, because the local terms are all been optimized on this landing page, right? So I want my blog post to be optimized for the top at a topical level, not on a local level. Right. So it's a broader level, but that's how you start to build authority, topical authority back to the site. Your location authority should be built on the landing page, right? And with structured data, organization schema on the homepage, local business schema on the location landing page, all of that kind of stuff. That's how you build all the location relevancy, plus things like down at the bottom, right? The map embed, the Google Business Profile website embed, all of that builds location relevance. So now that I consider the supporting blog post is how you build topical relevance and topical authority. Does that make sense? So that was another great question, guys. You guys are coming up with some good questions today. So Gordon, if I haven't even read all the other questions, but I think that would be a winner if we were giving prizes away. So Roland's up. He says, howdy y'all, good. Looking to get myself a copy of Page Generator Pro, which Bradley talked about a while ago. Is there any legal copyright issues with using such content? I think you're talking about Page Rewriter, most likely. Anyways, I think that's what you're talking about, Page Rewriter. Is there any legal copyright issues with using such content on money sites? I would run it through a rephrasing tool first and some additional content before publishing. If safe for money sites, what kind of content are you using? So I guess if not safe for money sites, what kind of content are you using it for? Okay, yeah. So yes, you can. But here's the thing. In Page Rewriter, if that's the tool you're mentioning, which we have somebody hopefully dropped a link for that too. It's a great tool, guys, by the way. As long as, and there's an AI rephraser in it. So what's great, that's why I like that tool so much, because there are a ton of other tools out there, like a good rephrasing tool that's a standalone rephrasing tool is called Quillbot, Quillbot.com. That's a great rephrasing tool, but it doesn't have like all the awesome functionality that Page Rewriter does, which Page Rewriter will pull in top ranked content for whatever search query you put in, will allow you to like Frankenstein an article using other people's content. And then you copy the completed article that was just literally like just other people's content that you just kind of patch together in the editor. Once, and then you go in, you swap out any location modifiers, any brand names to the appropriate, project details. And then you copy the whole block of text and you paste it into the AI rewriter. It's in the same dashboard. You click rephrase and it rewrites the whole damn thing. And if you take that and go to Copyscape and check it, the vast majority of the time, it's going to come back 100% unique. If you need to add a little bit of other, couple of paragraphs here and there to make it more unique, then do so. But that's, I don't like to use, you can use that content for money site, guys. I prefer to use that kind of content on tier 1 assets and for link building content, but more so for tier 1 assets. Another great tool is Article Forge 3.0 for link building articles. It's really good for shorter articles. 250 to 500 word articles tend to be really good from Article Forge. When you select 750 words, which is the most length that it will allow you to select, it turns out to be not as good. But for tier 1 content, I think Page Rewriter is probably the best tool available. For money site content, in my opinion, you're best off using, developing your own outline and then fleshing out the outline. And you can use tools like Jarvis or Surfer has its own AI writer in it. Phrase has its own AI writer in it. Outranking has its own AI writer in it. So those tools are all really good for developing an outline, that is a competitive outline, something that will, once the outline's fleshed out, will compete with the top ranked results for whatever query you're optimizing for. And then you can use the AI writing assistance to help flesh the outline out. I think Jarvis is still the best for that. Personally, that's what we use in our team. But Page Rewriter is a great app, guys. I think it's fantastic, especially for tier 1 content. Okay. Another great question. Arby's got some long stuff here. We'll try to get through it. In the Black Friday training, you discussed using a long form article per silo as an alternative to the multiple posts per silo approach, wherein the series of posts trickled out over time also served to demonstrate activity on the site and on the GMB or Google Business profile. It's fairly straightforward to make further standalone keyword relevant posts over time. With the long form article per silo, how do you demonstrate ongoing activity? And that's the question that I had read earlier, Arby, that I just kind of answered when I was answering Gordon's question. And that is exactly what I just mentioned. So again, if we come back over here and we look, this is the long form content. There is no silo on this site yet because I haven't published any supporting articles. But if I wanted to publish supporting articles, which is not always necessary to do. Why? Because the activity, I produce ongoing activity through the Google Business profile, through posts, right? Does that make sense? So, but I understand there is a benefit to also publish content regularly, and the frequency with which you publish is it varies depending on industry, location, what your competitors are doing, all of that. But it does make sense and for client guys, for client work that are paying me a monthly retainer, they get ongoing content services always. Like we're always publishing blog posts. But for like lead gen assets, I typically don't publish supporting blog posts on the blog once I get it ranked because we're publishing Google Business posts. And that's the activity signals that we're generating because of Google Business posts and because I'm doing stuff like click-through rate manipulation and all that. But to get back to your point, yes, it does make sense to also publish content regularly. Again, depending on how frequently it is, that varies. But you can do what I just mentioned, which was to go publish what I do for clients, for example, is I've simplified down to doing long form landing page content like this. And then we will publish topically, posts that are optimized for topical terms, not for local terms, right? And that's the way that we start to build that topical authority back to the local site, if that makes sense. All right. So again, using like the tools like Surfer's got a great tool for topic clusters. keyword clusters and topic clusters. And so if you do the keyword research in Surfer, it's really good for that. So you can actually develop like some topic clusters, and then you can start publishing content as supporting blog posts that will be siloed, right? They will become child posts, right, of the location landing page, if that makes sense. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. Okay, do you create a new H2 title and another block of text to tack on the end of the long form article? No, I just did what I said what again, I would prefer to go and pick, like, for again, tree trimming methods, or best time of year for tree pruning, or tree felling and removal techniques, or stuff like that. Like, what's the difference between stump grinder and stump removal, or stump grinding and stump removal? Those are types of questions that we could publish content on that don't have to be optimized for a particular location. They should be optimized for the topic itself. Okay. And they should be tuned to compete on a national level. Whether you rank for them or not, that's entirely up to how much, off-page link building you do and everything else. But those become powerful posts because they're tuned so well, right? Hopefully that makes sense. Next up, he says, say you have a typical siloed HVAC, non-client owned lead gen site with silo link juice flowing up through each top of silo page to the home page. That home branding page might have some location or general content relevance, so could be the highest ranking page on this website. Google likes branding and how it makes us look like a regular biz, but for generating leads, we would ideally like search to take prospects directly to the relevant pages to avoid any possible fall off of interest. Do we always want a distinct homepage? Any better for the homepage to be the top of one of the silos? Well, and that's, again, going back to this, guys, this is a single page web. Again, there are other pages on the site, but those are just like the standard pages, right? About, contact, privacy policy. Do I not have I must not have privacy policy linked down here, which I should. I thought you know what? That's interesting. I know that I had it down here at one point. Anyways, I'll have to go back and add it. But the standard pages, but this is all like one landing page, and it's the homepage, right? Originally, when I published this site, it was more the format that you're describing in your question, which was there was a homepage that just had very limited information, and then this was the services page. But I was having some serious issues getting the services page indexed, and I don't know why. I feel like Google's broken right now. You hear a whole bunch about people saying they're having a hard time getting stuff indexed, and I experienced it for the first time in my career with this site right here. So I eliminated the homepage and made the service page the homepage. And I thought about it. I was like, in a single location website, you can do this. When you have multiple location website, you're going to have a homepage, which would be essentially just the brand page. And then each location would have its own landing page, right? But then what you'd want to do is each location for Google Business Profile, you would have the location landing page as the website URL or the appointment URL, as I teach. And then, you know what I mean? So that, again, that would be where people would land from Google search and from Google Maps. They would go directly to that location landing page, right? So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I'm trying to get at here is I prefer to do it that way. So yeah, so let's see, any better for the homepage to be the top of one of those silos? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you can do it, if you can make the page look decent and everything else, and then you can also do some link sculpting, page rank sculpting, whatever, to where you can no follow certain links and things like that. I've done it on another site. I can't really show that here because it's not something I want to show publicly, but I've done that before where you even no follow navigation menu items and things like that, to where you can specifically direct like all the link flow as you're describing coming up from your siloed post, go up to the location landing page, and ultimately they bleed out to the homepage because you have an internal link somewhere, or they're bleeding through the navigation menu or sidebar links or footer links or whatever. But you can go in and actually no follow links and stuff like that, guys, in your navigation menu and all that, to where you can direct where that link equity is flowing. And so that's another way to kind of take over that, to avoid the homepage ranking for what you want an inner page to rank for. You can accomplish that by, link sculpting or page rank sculpting. as well as, your internal linking method, right? How you do your internal linking. Hopefully that makes sense. Racist says, hey, what strategy do you recommend to promote audios on SoundCloud? And do you have markup suggestions for audiograms? No, I'm sorry, Race. I don't do any audio stuff. Occasionally we'll get, from one of the link building providers I outsource stuff to, I'll get audio links. But it's, I've never done any like specific SEO techniques for that. So I'm sorry, I can't give you any pointers on that. It's just not, not something I've done. Go ahead.
Real quick, I was just thinking though, like in basics, it's been a while. I used to have a podcast on SoundCloud. Let me just pull something up because I'm trying to think if it's stuff that can be embedded, could you potentially put like a syndication network or something around your SoundCloud channel? Sure. Because I know you can get an RSS feed out of it.
Yeah, we tested that 5-6 years ago. I don't know if you remember that, Adam, but we did do that. We had done some audio SoundCloud syndication to the syndication network, and it would syndicate the audio player embed code just like a YouTube video. But it wasn't something that, that was 5 or 6 years ago. I haven't done anything with it since. So
yeah, it's not like we're going to test it, but I forget who was asking this, but what you might want to do is take a look and see if you can get it syndicate some of the content. Like if you could get the description to go with it, that would be obviously powerful. So that might be worth testing.
Very good. Javed Hop. Okay. Can we send GSA and spam backlinks to ID page, Google Properties, GMB Map Link, and GMB Properties? I don't recommend it. I try to keep my Google business website and the CID map, especially. Again, guys, going back to the Google process checklist, the Google business process checklist, right? If you go to the link building diagram that I have in there, and it shows the different, tier 1 asset groups, there's 4 groups, and there's 3 green circles in the middle of those groups. That's like creates a square. Those are what I call ground zero. Now I understand technically ground zero is the money site. And then tier 1 entity assets would be Google business profile website, the Google business map, the gsite, branded gsite, the syndicate, all of those are technically tier 1. However, I've shifted how I think about it to where now I treat the Google business website and the CID map URL as part of ground zero, right? Part of tier 0, right? Does that make sense? So I like to treat those as if they're money sites, which means I like to build high quality links, very few high quality links with very specific anchor text to achieve my anchor text ratios, which again is covered in the Google business process checklist. I even give you guys the ratios that I use, how to determine it. I give you a spreadsheet that you can go do your competitor analysis that will give you your anchor text ratios. And that's all I try to do is just to get close to the anchor text ratios for all 3 of those assets: money site or location landing page, Google business website, CID map URL. Once I get those close to the anchor text ratios that the top ranked competitors, then it's all about tier 1 assets and then pounding away on the tier 1 assets. So, I don't recommend GSA or kitchen sink type spam links, bulk links to any one of those assets. You can still do it. We tested for years and we were able to just get go crazy with just massive amounts of really just disgusting spam links. Porn links, everything you can imagine have been tested against those properties and they've been able to take it. But I don't recommend it because you can achieve the results without spamming those. And I just, again, maybe it will never be an issue, will ever be a problem. But the way I look at it is I like to keep those 3 clean: money site, Google business profile website, and the Google business map. Those I like to keep clean. And then the G site, I'll hammer away at that with spam. The ID page, I like to keep that one a bit cleaner too. But you can get away with doing spam there too, guys, but make sure you're using the S3 URL as your target, not if you map a subdomain to your S3 bucket URL for the ID page, you do not want to build spam links to that subdomain if it's on your, if it's a subdomain of your root domain that's mapped over to the ID page. I don't do that because those will end up showing all those spam links in your backlink report. So if you're going to send spam to the ID page, you should only do it to the S3 URL, if that makes sense. Okay. But guys, your Google site, so sites.google.com, like I said, the Web 2.0 networks The profile URLs and individual post URLs, you can hammer away with spam on those all day long. And you can, like I said, to the Google properties too, the GMB properties, but I don't recommend it. My own personal methods now, guys, is all right. I treat those very much like I treat my money site. Okay. I might be a little bit more aggressive with the Google properties than the money site, but typically for the money, I try to reduce the amount of links and just use higher quality links. Okay. Oh, cool. We're about done. Aaron, what's up, Aaron? I had a great call with Scott, your uncle, and had just a fantastic call with him last week. And so we're glad to have you guys both kind of on board and all that. And I think it's going to be a good year for you guys next year, because Scott really seems like he's got a very clear path now for what he wants to do in 2022. And it aligns very much with what my goals are for 2022. So I think he's in a really good spot. We got a lot that we're just, I plan on doing a whole lot of lead gen asset building next year. And I think that's what kind of where he's at too. So anyways, welcome. It's good to have you guys. It says, can you tell us what service you use for GSA links? Yeah, it's in the process, the content mirroring playbook, guys. Just go to Legit. There's several providers on Legit that do GSA spam. Superstar SEO, which is, I think his name's Chris Walker. I think he's the owner of Legit. He's got a really good GSA spam gig. It's for 10,000 GSA links for $13. That's a really good one. Konec, Konec, is another great provider on Legit. I'm testing a few others over there as well for GSA, but there's also a lot of other types of link gigs over there. Remember, guys, like, and again, I've been testing a lot lately, which is why, like, I just showed you guys with this blogger post. I just did a 400,000 GSA spam gig to that blogger post, and there's two target URLs: the blogger inner page and the blogger homepage URL. But that's, again, I'm testing different things, guys. I still recommend, and this is straight from Dedia, Semantic Mastery's link builder for a long, long time. He's still providing links at the Heavy Hitter Club store, I believe. But anyway, he's always talked about doing contextual Web 2.0 links. If you want to do GSA stuff, do a layer or 2 layers, 2 tiers, at least one, but up to 2 tiers of contextual Web 2.0s. And then you hammer those contextual Web 2.0 links with GSA. But again, I've been testing, so I don't recommend doing straight GSA spam too, like blogger posts and things like that. You can. I'm doing it myself because I'm testing. But there are some really good, like, contextual Web 2.0 gigs too. Again, Konec, Konec, he's got some good gigs there. There's some others. Just go to Legit's got a lot of really good services, guys. I outsource a lot of my stuff to them, but I've tested over the last many months now with a lot of money and a lot of gigs to kind of develop my own recipes of gigs that I combine to achieve the results that I need. What I'm trying to say, Aaron, is I would recommend that if you're going to use GSA spam, that you do it more to power up other types of, like, links that you're building to your branded assets, right? So in other words, like Web 2.0 contextual links would be great. You can get kind of a smaller gig to power up, like a blogger, blogger blog or a specific post, for example. And then when you get the link report back, then you buy like a 10,000 GSA spam gig to power up those links. Does that make sense? And besides that, there's a lot of the Web 2.0 like link providers will also offer as an add-on service another layer, so a tiered link building. And again, Dedia still has all his services, and this is not to slight Dedia at the Heavy Hitter Club store. It's just they're no longer, we don't make revenue at Semantic Mastery anymore for that. And I wanted to develop my own stuff too. For years, that's all we ever used was Dedia's link building services. And he does all the tiering and everything for you. And he's a fucking master at it. There is no question about it. But I wanted to test a whole bunch of my own stuff over the last several months, which is why I've been testing all these different things and develop kind of my own recipes. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody from using that. Dedia, I think he's a fantastic guy. He's got an awesome business. He's a great link builder. I'm just letting you know kind of some of the stuff that I'm doing. Which, like I said, I don't recommend just straight GSA spamming this kind of, you can, don't get me wrong, you can, but I would prefer to tell you guys, especially for client work and stuff like that, to be a little bit more careful. So use And there's other things besides contextual web 2.0s. Again, Koenig has got another great service called off-page link service or whatever, and he creates these high domain authority triangles using like a Reddit link and some other stuff. And those those are great to build links back to like money blog posts and things like that. And then when you get that report back, you just smash it with GSA, if that makes sense. So anyways, guys, like I said, a lot of this stuff, you have to do the testing on your own, or you have to, take the word of somebody that is doing the testing, which is what I've been doing for months. I mean, I've spent months now just doing nothing but testing services and methods and all that. And that's where the Google Business Process Checklist was developed from. And now over the last several months, I've developed some very effective link building strategies that are actually really inexpensive. Our white label SEO link building service for locations up to 200,000 in population is going to be right around $350. And I've been able to rank within 3 months most of the time, but within 5 months every time for locations up to 200,000 population using the kind of process that I've developed. And so that's going to be coming out, like I said, probably in the middle of January sometime. Okay. Anyways, okay. That was pretty good. Right around 5 o'clock. So thanks everybody for being here. There's a Build with Bradley meeting tomorrow. For those of you that are in that group, don't forget 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.